morning. Welcome to another installment of our WP Cares series where we spotlight charities that help our local community. Today I'm here with Dr. Frances Compton, who is the Medical Director of Patient Services at Carter BloodCare. Dr. Compton, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
I've had the honor of getting to work with your team a little bit, and of course so many of us know bits and pieces of what Carter BloodCare does for our community. But could you walk us through how the organization got started?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So Carter BloodCare has been saving lives for over 70 years. It originally started as two separate blood centers, one in Fort Worth and one in Dallas. The Dallas Blood Center began in 1951, and it was originally called the Wadley Research Institute and Blood Bank. It was later renamed to BloodCare of Dallas. On the other side, on the Fort Worth side, Amon G. Carter Foundation gave a grant, which then started the Carter Blood Center of Fort Worth. That was in 1959. Then in 1998, the two merged. They combined the names and they called it Carter BloodCare. And so that's kind of how we got started. Really, the merger was to better serve the North Texas area, and they thought they could do so by joining forces, so to speak. In the early 2000s, we expanded into Central and East Texas, and that kind of brings us up to where we are today. Today, Carter BloodCare serves and provides resources to more than 200 hospitals and medical facilities in over 50 counties, all across North, Central, and East Texas.
That's incredible. A 70-year history, too. So would you tell us more about your role at Carter BloodCare?
Sure. So I've been at Carter BloodCare for almost 3 years. I'm coming up on my 3rd year anniversary. And as you said, my title is Medical Director of Patient Services. And essentially what my role is to support the medical and technical aspects of Carter BloodCare's mission. And that mission is to save lives by making transfusion possible. I was first exposed to Carter BloodCare during my fellowship year at UT Southwestern. And that was a fellowship in transfusion medicine and blood banking. And I was able to spend 3 months at Carter BloodCare during that training. And from then on, I was absolutely hooked. And I finished out my fellowship. I spent another year at UT Southwestern, which I loved, but I just truly felt drawn to come back to Carter and serve the mission that I had learned in fellowship. So I'm so happy to be there and contributing to work that we're doing.
That's wonderful. So we've talked about a little bit the services the organization provides the community, but I know you guys do so much. Do you want to give us a little bit of a deeper dive into what you do?
Sure, yes. Happy to. So every year, Carter BloodCare provides over 440,000 units of blood products to meet our community patients' needs. And there really is a lot behind the scenes that goes into making those transfusible products available for patients. So I think a lot of people know us from seeing our Carter BloodCare buses, where we set up mobile drives, and you can kind of see our name on the side of those buses, and that is a huge part of what we do. But there's a lot that goes into making blood products available back at our headquarters. So everything from collecting the blood and then bringing it back to headquarters. There is a lot of processing, specialized testing. We actually separate whole blood into its components because then it's stored much better that way. And also you get the most out of every blood product that way. Ultimately, we have another service line whose sole responsibility is managing inventory and making sure those blood products get to the hospitals where they need them. And so that's all based on patient demand and what the hospital needs and tells us they need. In addition to making blood products available for patients in our community, we also have other services that we provide. For example, we have an immunohematology reference lab, which we call it the IRL, and that's a fancy way of saying essentially we are a very specialized reference lab for any patient blood bank testing at any local hospitals. So if they need any help with any of that testing, they send it to us and we help manage that and take care of that and get the results back to them so that they can make sure their patients get the transfusions they need. We also, on that note, we also have a centralized transfusion service, which is pretty cool because a lot of smaller hospitals or surgical centers in the area may not be big enough or have the means to have their own blood bank, and we kind of work with them to function as their sort of centralized blood bank so that they can do the testing that's required and also do cross-matching or anything that's needed to get those patients' blood. So we're really just trying to increase access and make sure patients who need blood will get the transfusions they need.
That's incredible. I'm so impressed with what y'all are doing.
Well, thank you.
One myth I've seen addressed online is that blood is only needed during times of emergency. Why is this such a dangerous truth, and what is the value of keeping the reserves high?
Sure. Well, it is very true that in times of emergencies, we definitely need blood available. But the reality is, the time to donate blood is before that emergency happens. See, in an emergency, every second counts, and it's the blood that's already been donated, tested, and readily available on the shelves that saves lives. After donation, and I already touched on a little bit all the steps that are involved in making transfusible blood products available. So that process can take up to 2 days even for whole blood to be processed and tested and available on the shelf. So that's why we encourage our eligible blood donors to become consistent donors and to support our community by having a constant supply of blood. I want to share a sobering fact. Someone in the United States needs blood every 2 seconds. However, only 3% of the population donates blood. That's a huge disconnect between those who are able to and those who actually donate. And if just a little bit more of the population donated even once a year, we would not have the blood shortages that we have today. When you donate consistently, you're helping many, many different types of patients with varying conditions that require blood transfusions to have a healthy life and to even survive. A couple of the main indications for blood transfusion is one is cancer. So patients receiving therapy for cancer often require frequent transfusions because that therapy can often really impact all of their blood cell counts. And so they need regular transfusion to keep those blood counts at a safe level. In fact, it's thought up to even a quarter of the nation's blood supply goes to cancer patients. Another big group of patients who require frequent blood transfusion are patients with sickle cell disease and other inherited blood anemias. This is where children frequently are transfused on a routine basis, and that's because due to their disease process, either they don't make adequate red blood cells or their red blood cells don't work very well or work properly, and so they require regular transfusions just to maintain a healthy life. And then there are other things that I think we all typically are aware of. Patients who are involved in traumas such as motor vehicle accidents, gunshot injuries, and then of course patients undergoing major surgeries such as major heart surgery or organ transplants. Surgeries like that often require available blood supply.
That's incredible. So how could I get more involved today?
Yeah, so the most immediate way to get involved with Carter BloodCare is by donating blood. That's really what we need most. And I've already talked a little bit about the whole blood donation process, but we have other types of donation procedures. One in particular is a platelet donation procedure, and that's a little bit more specialized. Platelets are a unique product. They're a different type of cell in our blood. It is a type of blood cell. However, it's not the cells that make our blood red. Those are more of kind of a cream or yellowish color. And their purpose really is to make your blood sticky or to stop it from bleeding. And these are really important when it comes to major hemorrhage or emergency bleeding. And they're also often used in cancer patients. And this is because, as I said a little bit before, cancer patients often have all of their blood cell lines affected by their therapy, and platelets are often significantly decreased during cancer therapy. And so cancer patients often need routine platelet transfusions just to keep their platelet levels at a safe level, or they can even sometimes spontaneously bleed because their platelet counts can be so low. And so we are always looking for more platelet donors. And the platelet donation process is a little different, and it takes a little bit longer because we actually have this specialized machine that we bring, and we put it by the donor's bed when they're donating. And essentially it takes out a little bit of blood at a time, and that machine can actually target one specific component of your whole blood and collect that while returning everything else to the donor. And that's really important for platelet donation because we can get up to 1 and even 3 platelet donations or platelet products that can be transfused to different patients from one collection. And the reason we can do that is because we can concentrate collecting the platelets by returning everything else. And so it's a really important procedure that we have for those specific patients that need platelet transfusions. And so that's another way to get involved. You can donate platelets actually more frequently. Whole blood requires 56 days in between donations, but then platelets you can donate a lot more. So that's I think another way you can really be more involved and kind of donate more frequently. Some other things you can do are you can host your own blood drive with Carter BloodCare. We will work with you and come out to your workplace, your school, your place of worship, or your neighborhood. Anywhere where you have a gym or a big conference room, we will be happy to come set up and do a mobile blood drive on site at your location. If you don't have a big room like that, then we'll bring one of our buses. We will do whatever it needs to work with you. We even have our own marketing material that we share with you, and we love to partner with any groups in our community that are interested. Another way is joining our team. As I said, I became absolutely hooked on the mission of Carter BloodCare after I spent 3 months with Carter BloodCare during my fellowship, and I was amazed at how many people that work at Carter BloodCare had been there 20, even 30 years. And the amount of dedication that I saw in everyone that worked there was absolutely amazing. So if that interests you, please feel free to reach out, visit carterbloodcare.org, click on the Careers tab, and see what current opportunities we have. We usually have openings in multiple departments, so check it out.
Wow, lots of different options to get involved.
Yes.
So let's say I wanted to bring the bus out to my neighborhood, or I wanted to even give. Where would you tell me to start as a best place to learn more?
Sure. So you can visit us online at carterbloodcare.org. We have a Host Your Own Blood Drive button under our main drop-down menu. And also on the website, we have a lot of information about donor eligibility, what to expect if you're a first-time donor, what our community's current blood needs are, personal stories within our community. And so please come check it out. Again, it's carterbloodcare.org. Also, in order to make an appointment, you can give us a call at 800-366-2834. I do want to say that if you're a returning blood donor, we thank you. If you are new to blood donation, welcome to the family. We think you'll love it. And because blood donation is anonymous, you may never know the mother, father, child, sister, brother, or friend that receives your blood donation. However, I can promise you that you donating today will save a life, and one of their lives will be saved tomorrow. I ask you this, how else can one single act have such a profound effect?
Thank you so much for your time today. This has been helpful, informative, and I think hopefully transformational in getting more people involved in Carter BloodCare's good work.
Thank you so much for having me.
So thank you so much for joining us today. I know this has been meaningful for me, and I believe it's been meaningful for our audience as well. We're grateful that you've tuned in for another episode of WP Care series. We encourage everyone who can become a donor to to do so and to help save lives.